Hey everybody, hopefully y'all can hear me. This is gonna be a quick video because I have to get ready. It's early in the morning and it just came upon my heart to go ahead and post this. But some of you may be hearing about the Halle Bailey situation, DDG, Ruby Rose, so forth and so forth. Yes. So I just wanted to talk about some quote unquote good girl assumptions that people tend to have based on a person's persona, the way they carry themselves, maybe their background, maybe how they were raised. And yeah, so what I want to say first is I think um, Halle Bailey. Sorry if I mispronounced her name the first time. Sometimes I say people's name wrong, so I don't mean no disrespect by it. Even at work, I'm like, sorry for mispronouncing your name. But yeah, I think she is great. I like her image. I like her hair because she's like, a locker girl. So I like that about her. She seems sweet. I don't know her personally, so this is not about her or DDG or Ruby Rose because I don't know any of them personally. And even if I did, I wouldn't speak on them personally because this is a public platform. It was just basically to talk about some of the things that I noticed in regards to her being Halle Bailey being seen as a good girl. So um, I just want to go into the assumptions. So, and I'm gonna go through them so that y'all can listen. Because if I put them up, people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, I can just read it." And I'm like, "No, I want to try to listen to the video." So, so the first assumption is that good girls don't like the same guys that quote unquote bad girls or other girls that people deem to be risque. Remember, I did a video about that before about how certain people are displayed in a risque type of way, so they'll look down on in a certain way, um, even though people still secretly kind of like them and live vicariously through them. So I believe that Ruby Rose is one of those type of girls who has like that type of risque image, right? So people automatically put her in a box of, she's a bad girl, she's risque, she's this, she's that. And then Halle Bailey is put in the good girl category, even though nobody really knows how they really are behind closed doors. But this is just how people like to put women and girls too, but they like to put them in. And when I say girls, I'm not saying like little girls. You just be like, hey girl, whatever, whatever. It's just a term. So people tend to put them in different boxes, even though they don't really know how these people really are in real life, but they put them in boxes. So because of that, people don't think that they go for the same guys. And sometimes they do. Sometimes the quote unquote good girl that people tend to put on a pedestal because of the way that she carries herself and her background, like I said, how she was raised. Maybe she hasn't been with the same amount of guys, or maybe she has. We don't really know, right? We don't really know these people personally. But nevertheless, based on the image that they have, um, we're like, how, well, not me, because I already know that different types of women like the same type of guy, right? It's not something that I didn't know. But some people, they have this assumption like, oh, how could she be dealing with a guy like that? She deserves better. Or I would think that a girl like her would never choose a guy like that. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, different type of girls choose the same type of guy. And when you look at it, a lot of times it's the same group of guys that are being chosen by a plethora of people. Um, it just is what it is. And then also too, you have to think about the fact that they're also in the industry. So if they're going to be choosing people within the entertainment industry, then that also makes the pool of men that's available smaller. Some people who are in the entertainment industry, I would assume that they may not feel comfortable dating guys who are like not in the industry because they may not be able to understand their lifestyle. They may also be concerned about Well, I would say they probably be concerned about privacy, but nowadays you can't even really say that because the guys in the industry are also exposing stuff too, right? So you can't even say that you're going to get a sense of privacy. You might even get more with a guy outside of the industry who may not want to be really in the spotlight, right? But nevertheless, a lot of them they tend to choose people within the same industry. So the industry becomes starts to get small because you're moving around the same people. So that could also be why sometimes they choose the same guys. But even in regular society, sometimes you have different type of girls choosing the same type of guys. And if you talk to some of these guys, especially the ones who don't have a problem getting girls and getting women or however you want to refer to it, they will tell you I've been with different types. The quote unquote good girl, the quote unquote bad girl, the quote unquote fast girl, the quote unquote girl who take her time, the girl who got money, the girl who don't, the girl who's considered to be having a banging body, the girl who's just skinny like a model, and whatever, right? The girl who's quirky, the girl who's more sassy, the girl who always has a bad attitude, and the one who is like really shy and timid, and the one who has boundaries, the one who doesn't. I mean, they're just with different types of girls, right? So to them, it's not anything to it, but to people outside who really don't understand how things work when it comes to dating, they think that this is just so shocking. Like, well, how could he be with Ruby Rose, but then be with Halle Bailey? And it's like, that's just how dating is for a lot of guys who have access to different type of girls. Like, that's just how it is. um, they have dealt with variety. And a lot of times, like I said, the different type of girls are going for the same type of guys. So this is an assumption that people tend to have that, oh, because Halle Bailey is quote unquote a good girl, she's not supposed to be with a guy like DDG. But how do you know that's not the kind of guy that she wants? And how do you know that she doesn't know that's the type of guy she's already dealing with? So, yeah. The second assumption is good girls don't make the same mistakes with guys that quote unquote bad girls make, right? So it's like, oh, she's smart and she has all these things going for her with Disney and, all the things that she's accomplished. So why would she be with a guy like that? And I can't imagine her being with a guy like that. And he's probably taking advantage of her, manipulating her. And it's like, well, no, she's probably going to go through some of the same experiences that some of the other girls go through her age. I'm not saying all because growing up at her age, I was around girls who didn't make those decisions and I was around girls who did, right? So every girl is different. But just because somebody has a good girl persona or they haven't made certain decisions in life like another girl has, doesn't mean that they may not fall into some of the same experiences. And then once again, like I mentioned, because they're choosing men in the industry, you have to think about that as well. This adds another layer. This adds a different dynamic. And then when social media gets into the mix, yeah. And then another thing too is like I don't assume everything that I see on the internet. It's like controversy also sells. So I'm not saying this stuff is not real. Maybe it is. But I don't never assume that it always is. And I never assume that it's always exactly what is being presented because at the end of the day, like I said, controversy sells. They know that this stuff is going to get people talking. So who's to know what's really going on behind closed doors? We don't know that. We're just going off of what we're seeing on the internet. So this is all just an example of something that can be a good talking point for women to learn something from, but it's not like, oh, we're gonna sit here and be like, oh, well, so and so is like this and so because you don't even know these people personally. So that would be ignorant of me to sit here and try to say, oh, Halle Bailey is a good girl and Ruby Rose is a bad girl and DDG he's a snake and he's a narcissist. And, well, how do I know that? I don't even know these people. So that's kind of like silly for me to make these assumptions because, like I said, I don't know them. And the third assumption that I wrote down is good girls don't have some of the same traits as quote unquote bad girls, whatever that means, right? So whatever a bad girl means, right? And good girls are like so different and foreign. They're like, oh no, they can never choose like the same type of guys, or they don't have like the desire to be with, a certain type of guy that the quote unquote bad girl does. And, they're like perfect and they don't make these type of mistakes. And oh, they're a good girl. They don't do those type of things. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, once again, like, these are assumptions that people are making because of a certain image or a certain persona that a person has, and even if Halle Bailey is, that type of girl who hasn't slept around and, isn't on the internet twerking and isn't doing the things that risque girls do, that doesn't mean that she's perfect. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have some of the same challenges. It doesn't mean that maybe there are not still some things that she's searching for when it comes to relationships that other girls are. Like, it is what it is, you know? And hopefully she hasn't gone down any treacherous paths. I would hope not, right? To avoid, further consequences and scars later on. So if she hasn't, that's great. But that still doesn't make her immune to some of the same pitfalls. And like I said before, it doesn't make her immune to having a desire for the same type of guy that a Ruby Rose girl would like. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Like, we have to stop making these assumptions about people based on a persona that they carry. Oh, this girl dresses a certain way. She's risque, so she's this. Oh, this girl has a good girl persona. She's a Disney princess type of girl, so she's a good girl. How could she be with a guy like that? He has to be taking advantage of her. There's just no way that she would ever choose a guy like that. Like, she deserves better. It's like, well, who's for us to say that? Maybe that's who she wants. And that's not to say that you still shouldn't encourage people to want more if you feel like they deserve more. But that's up to them to decide that. I think it was Six the Goddess that said nobody is more in love than a young unmarried woman or something like, I don't want to misquote, but it was something like that. And it's true for a lot of women. Like, when they're young and they're unmarried, they just be so in love. And like Sister Goddess was saying, nobody can tell them nothing. Nobody. Like, no matter how much you try to tell them, leave this guy or do this, they're gonna have to learn on their own. So it is what it is. And sometimes that's what people want. That's who they want. Like, there are times when people are genuinely in situations that they're trying to get out and they can't. But if that person genuinely wants that guy, there's nothing that you can do about it. And to assume that, oh, they're being taken advantage of, maybe they're not. Maybe they're choosing to stay. And they have their list of reasons why they're choosing to stay. It's not always because they're a victim, So that's just my take on the situation. We need to stop with these good girl assumptions. Like I said, maybe she genuinely hasn't done some of the things that other girls have done. So maybe she does have a quote unquote good girl streak. But it doesn't necessarily mean, like I said, that she doesn't still have these same desires, these same challenges, doesn't like the same type of guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's perfect. She doesn't have certain things that she may not need to work on. She's young. And even when she gets older and she's like my age and older, there's still going to be more and more things to work on. We're always a work in progress. So this whole thing of, oh, you shouldn't be making these decisions because you're this age, or you shouldn't be making these decisions because you're a quote unquote good girl, or because you're of this, level of money, or you come from this family. It's like all of these things are assumptions. A lot of people have the same challenges. And like I said, that doesn't include everybody. But there are running themes that tend to show up when women are a certain age and they're dating. But even as they get older, that doesn't mean that those things stop, because everybody's journey is different. And yeah, that's just that. So hopefully, if it's not meant for her to be with this guy, that, God will open up a way for her to exit, and that she will take it, because I've been in situations where God opened up an exit and I didn't take it. And then I ended up getting hurt a lot more later on. And I had to, I had to deal with the consequences because God opened up a way and I didn't want to leave. And even if and there were some times when I did want to leave, but I felt so stuck. And I was like, see, this is why I should have, took heed much sooner when God said, don't even deal with this guy in the first place, or leave right now. But then as you stay longer, it becomes harder, and then you tie yourself up with this person. And then with her situation with Halle Bailey, it could be challenging because she's in the spotlight. So there's a lot of other factors that go into that. Imagine being with a guy that you are stuck on, and then you also are in the spotlight. It's a lot that comes with that. So we have to understand that they don't live the regular life that we live as well. So not only do they deal with some of the same challenges that everyday people deal with, but they also have to deal with the element of the fame and the spotlight and the money and the industry and all that stuff that comes with that as well, and social media. that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna go. This video is longer than I wanted it to be, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. And yeah, take care, and I hope y'all have uh, a good day. If you're watching this now, earlier in the day, it's like 7:30 in the morning, or if you watch it later on, take care and talk to you later. Bye.